Okay. Hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm very good. I think it has to be said that somebody's coming into your room.
How's it going? Oh my God, I should have moved.
Hello, Kat. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad we're finally doing this. It's been a long time coming.
Well, there's no point in lying, Kat. This is our second take. Our first take, I wasn't. We weren't happy. We weren't happy with it, were we? So let's be real with each other. Um,
We are recording it this time, right? So
that's true. Yes, we did the whole thing. We barely recorded any of it. So when I went to edit it, it was not. It was not even working. Right. What are we doing here, Kat? And what are we going to do with other people listening?
I know we've had some good conversations over the past few weeks, and I definitely have had with members of the recruitment community, founders, recruiters, people working at the face of things. And I was excited to create a place where we can come together, have conversations, no silly questions, as I think we're working through a very interesting time right now with AI and how it relates to recruiting. And I think we need a reboot of how we think about it.
We absolutely do, 100%. I think that in the last maybe month and a half, 2 months, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people, all of which think that AI strategy is ChatGPT prompts, and they actually have no idea the actual true capabilities of it. So I guess the reason why we're creating this reboot podcast is to educate ourselves first and foremost, because I bring certain things to the table, and obviously, Kat, you bring a lot of things that I wouldn't necessarily think about, like the culture, behavior, the change management piece. Whereas obviously, I bring more of the technical piece to try to hopefully help anybody that can spare the 15 to 30 minutes to watch us, essentially, right? So the way we're going to set this then is Wednesdays, we're going to be focusing a little bit on the technical stuff, so the stuff that I do, more about the agents. And then Fridays, we're going to have more of an open conversation about AI in general. Is that right?
That sounds like what we discussed. So let's go for that. So this is number one workshop Wednesday. I think what you said, we're using ChatGPT and thinking that's AI. We're using a note taker that has AI. They're all great things. I don't think there's anything wrong with using them. It's more around what else could we be doing.
Yes.
And I think that's where we want to be able to show how that works, but in a way that's going to hopefully make you feel more connected to your business, your clients, your candidates, your colleagues, if you have them, rather than this feeling that AI is coming for your role, coming for your desk, your market. So I'm excited to see what comes out of it. And I think where that really starts for a lot of folks that I'm speaking to is sort of identifying clients, whether it's new clients, how to strengthen existing relationships. There are a lot of companies that are hiring, but understanding what those signals are can be really sped up quite quickly, I think, with the use of AI. But I think the concern that I hear is I don't want it to come across impersonal. I don't want to be the 30th recruiter to spam my client that day.
But they will be, because every recruiter is doing spec CVs and everything else, right? But I suppose it's about how you do it. I think the problem is, and I don't mean to slant people here, but it's these automating guys, the ones who are on LinkedIn saying that they're generating 50 meetings a week, that sort of thing. The reality is in order to get those 30 or 50 meetings, they have to, maybe email 10, 20,000 people, right? And it's all just using like clay.com or other various tools, and it's automations, essentially. So yes, it is impersonal, and people should be pissed off about that, and they should be concerned about it. Pretty much every single conversation I have is with people who first talk about outreach, and second talk about personability. Or is that the right word? Personability? That's not the right word, is it? You know what I'm saying, don't you? Making it personable, making it in their tone, etc. Right? So yeah, just to clarify, absolutely nothing wrong with ChatGPT whatsoever. It's a very good LLM. It's just the problem with ChatGPT is you put information in and then it just gives you something out. You still have to do something with that information, right? Whereas we're far beyond that now. And this whole word of agents is being floated around quite a lot, and a lot of folks don't know at all what it is. And that's what I was hoping to kind of focus on a wee bit today. But maybe I should just start by in a really, really simple term, explaining what it actually is. And it's literally ChatGPT with functionality. So instead of you asking ChatGPT to think of a post and then it spits out a post, and then you change it, and then you have to go and do something with it, that same situation, it will just go and post it for you, or it will go and turn it into an Instagram post, as well as YouTube, as well as LinkedIn, as well as stick it on your website. You can connect agents to software, and with an agent that's connected to software, it can literally do anything it wants to do within reason, within your guidelines, essentially.
Mm.
Right, and that's where we're at now. So if you think about recruitment, especially with BD, how much time it takes to do business development and maintaining your pipeline, it's like soul destroyingly slow and painful, especially for startups or even just people who are just consistently trying to do BD in their market, because it's a really, really tough world out there. When I was doing renewables, exactly the same thing. It was really, really tough, very manual. And as soon as I started getting agents to do it, don't have to worry about doing that stuff anymore. So it's been a game changer, and it's one of the things that basically everybody asks me for, and it sounds like they're also talking to you about that as well.
Yeah, we're in a different time than 2022.
Yeah.
21, 2022. So yes, I've sharpened my BD skills recently. They could still, I'm sure, do with some sharpening. I think really at any stage of your recruiting career, the most successful recruiters I know are the adaptable ones. They have their set formula and way that they work, but I think everyone is showing, the successful recruiters I speak to have shown great adaptability in the past, sort of 6 to 12 months in particular. And it's not as if the AI is a silver bullet that's going to make you an absolutely superstar BDer, but it sure can help you if that's where you struggle, or it can really help compound some activities you're already doing. So
Yeah.
I was curious, like, whether or not I either speak to early stage founders who are within 6 months of starting their business, up to people who are running 50, 60, 100-person agencies that have been running for many, many years. Is there something that you could build that would suit, either one? Do you have to like make it super personalized? What would your approach be?
Well, on the personalization piece, which maybe we can do in another Wednesday. The reason why most emails aren't personable is because automation people, they usually split it into 3 categories in email, right? They have the intro, the main body, and then the CTA, call to action, CTA, and they'll just prompt it. The problem is you really need to be feeding it with knowledge of you, your company, like 50, 60 examples of your tonality, doing a report on that, like doing some deep research on your tonality so it can formulate a really good script, and then feeding it to the LLM. At that point, that's when you start getting emails where it's difficult to distinguish whether it's AI or whether it's you. And that's why it's so easy to figure out if something's GPT or not, because people don't go that extra step to make it better, right? But in regards to like pipeline building, this is always the biggest pain in everyone's ass, essentially. I thought to kick things off, it might be quite useful to do a CV stripping agent. And this is one of the first ever ones that I built for myself, my own agency, and it really, really helped me. You literally give it a LinkedIn URL of a candidate you're speaking to. Let's say you're resourcing a job, and we all know that when we see a good candidate, we should be going on to their previous companies, see if they're relevant, see if they're hiring, see if we can find a hiring manager and all that stuff. Like, we know we should do that. It just takes forever, so we don't. Right? We separate that. Maybe we make that on a piece of paper, and we'll come back to that person. So the agent that I built for myself, and now I build with other people, is you give it a LinkedIn URL and sometimes a location, and it will do all that for you. It will look at the current, previous hiring managers, email address, all that stuff. Build up your whole pipeline for tomorrow or the next day. I won't be able to have enough time to build all of that, but I can certainly build some of the foundations if you want me to.
Yeah. All right. I'd love to see. I'd love to show us. What do you need to build? Like what tools? If I want to try this after, what do I need?
So I've been on the last 2 years, I don't know how many agent building platforms, so many. I use Relevance AI. That's the one that I've always come back to. It works with my approach anyway. It's very focused on like having LLMs like GPT or Gemini or whatever talking to each other. So it's more agentic, I suppose. So I focus on that. So I'll build it in that. I'll give the blueprints away. So if you want it, you can get a free account. You get 100 credits, I think, with the free account, and you'll definitely be able to rock and roll it. You might have to change a couple of things because the more bespoke it is to you and your market, the better it's going to be. But at least you can use the templates that I can provide for you, and it'll hopefully help you. Sound cool?
Sweet. Okay, let's do it.
All right. Try and bear with me, guys. I am going to cheat a little bit because this normally would take me about 5 or 6 hours. I'm going to try and condense it into maybe 15, 20 minutes for you. All right.
5-hour podcast? Absolutely not.
No, I don't think.
So what you basically do is you give
Rover
it a
would do
LinkedIn
that.
URL.
Right.
Might
Okay.
also say, if you haven't put this into the prompt already, where you're based and what market you do. All right. But I'll show you how to sort that out in a bit. What's effectively happened is it scraped my LinkedIn URL because I've just used me as an example here, and it has found current company, previous companies, and LinkedIn URL IDs, some really important information. Then what it's done is it's had a look to see if I am hiring or any of those companies are hiring. So I am not hiring. However, the previous company, ProClinical, is hiring. They've got 139 jobs on LinkedIn at the moment. And Opus have got 103 jobs on LinkedIn. Why is this useful? If it's just a number, now obviously you can get like way more deep with this and you can actually find relevant jobs, scrape those jobs, search your database. There's an endless list of things you can do. However, if you know that they're hiring and they're a relevant company to you, there's a couple of clicks and you get to find out what the jobs are. Right? It does a Google search, try and find the domain names because we need the domain names for future steps, like this one. This is effectively an API call to Apollo. This is looking at the domain, it's provided the LinkedIn URL and the company name, and what is outputted is potential hiring managers with their email addresses. I know Todd, I know Terry Ann, I know Peter, so if you're watching this, hello, I have scraped your data. You are officially a prospect for me. Then what it does is it provides the full summary. Okay. Now, all of this can obviously be populated into a spreadsheet, or it can be populated into your database, whatever else. For time's sake, I haven't done that, but you can do it. And if you're interested, ping us a message. I can give you some directions on how you do that. So let's jump into how it looks like. So the way that I tend to build agents is in the most simplest form possible. It's like a director in a business. And the director can do operational work, so they can do business development, they can do resourcing, but typically what they do is they delegate. Now imagine that these 4 tools are employees for they're in their team, right? Here we've got a LinkedIn scraper. So this is the one that took my data and scraped it to find out my previous companies. This one is a tool where it specifically looks at job openings. This one is the Google search. This one is the API call to Apollo, all right? FYI, everything that I give you here is free. I've made sure that I set up Apollo on here because you can have a free account with Apollo, which still has API access. Relevance, you can also have a free account, which I'll show you later on. If I show you the prompt, which has been quite useful, a couple of little tips for you. Number 1, this is pretty much how I format every prompt. Worth noting, the way that you prompt a GPT is very, very different to anything with like high reasoning. Like I would not give Claude this. Claude would just be like, dude, I'm not fucking stupid. Just give me some basic info. It would probably say that to me. Whereas GPT loves an instruction, especially the lower models. So the more specific you are, the better it's going to be from output perspective for GPT. So I hope that's a nice little tip for you there. Now, if you structure it like this, role, context, instructions, outputs, important. Okay, so basically any prompt you ever do, if you focus it like that and you fill out information that's relevant, you're going to get some pretty good consistent results. For this particular one here, I've also got an about us. You can literally put in your information here. Side tip, if you go into GBT, put in your company name and your URL or whatever, put on deep research, it will do some deep research on you, get all that information, copy, paste it, stick it in here. The more information you have, the better it's going to be. Now, if we just break into this, I've basically said you're a CV stripper, you're working for a BD team. Another little tip here, we've got context. I noticed in particular with GBTs, if you show like emotive words like desperate, help me, this sort of stuff, I think GBT gets a bit of a mad ego and it will work harder to fulfill your needs because it probably feels sorry for you, silly, petty human. Instructions, GPT, you have to be super, super specific. Notice, input, output. Input, output. This is really important with GPTs in particular, or even just with Claude or Grok or Gemini. Gemini does whatever the fuck it wants, but with the other LLMs, it's useful. So what I've basically done here is I've kind of spelt it out. This is not agentic. I've just told it what to do, essentially. This is like a trainee recruiter that kind of knows a bit of it, but you have to give them the script still. Otherwise, they go off on a tangent and start speaking to completely irrelevant people, selling them jobs. So as you can see here, I put input for this tool here, LinkedIn URL. Output, that's what you're likely to get. Input for this one, company ID. Output, jobs or no jobs. Notice how I have put some very important words, which is, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, this, batch. Batch is really, really important when you're dealing with agents because a lot of the time, especially GPTs, it will just dump all the information into something, and sometimes that something, i.e. a tool, can only deal with one bit of information. So you need to make sure that you are saying you batch it one at a time, every time. Right, then it will just systematically, if you've got 50 LinkedIn URLs, it will just do 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc., etc. All right. So yes, I've literally just labeled out exactly what I want it to do. Obviously, you're going to have access to all this, so you can just look at it. What's this? If I just very, very, very quickly jump into the tools. Okay, so the LinkedIn scraper takes your LinkedIn URL. Let's just, here's what I did earlier, so to speak. So you can see I didn't input any of this information in, GPT did, all right? Because of the prompt that I put in. So if I just run this tool, then what it's going to do is it's going to basically scrape my LinkedIn profile, and it's going to come up with this. This looks a little bit gibberishy to us, but LLMs love that shit. Now, in order for this to be free, because you guys are no doubt going to have a free account, I've opted to go for a scraper from a website called Rapid API. So if you, and this here is my API key, so don't worry, I'm going to be removing it afterwards. So when you get something, it will literally be empty. And in fact, I'm going to write paste in key. Yeah. Okay. So what you basically do is you go onto rapidapi.com. You'll have to set up an account. There'll be a login. There'll be a sign up here. It's free. All right. But I'm just going to log into mine. And what you want to look for is this fresh LinkedIn profile data. You can do that by looking at this fresh LinkedIn. Okay, it's right there. Now, I've actually got a free account on this just to show you that this is free. You can see it right here. Bear with me 2 seconds. Free, basic plan. All right. Now, what this actually enables you to do is I can basically use this 100 times a month, or potentially 150 times. All right, so I can scrape 150 profiles a month for free, which is pretty sweet. So if I go back though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something really scary, which is how to create an API call. So You notice this here up to the question mark. Let me just zoom in, get my face in here as well. There you go. Right, I'm really zooming in now. Ugh. Okay. You want to get that bit up there where it says up to lead. Okay, literally hit copy. Then you want to be looking at this one and this one. Okay, and this one and this one. Now, if I just zoom back out again and I jump back into the scraper, here is the same endpoint. Here is the headers, and this is the variable which I'll show you. So a really good way of thinking about like API documentation is it's kind of like a book, right? The endpoint is the title of the book. The headers, chapters. The params or parameters is like the specific pages within the chapter. So you can see here I've got LinkedIn, right? And you see it looks all nice and fancy with a little green thing here. If I click on double bracket, I can literally select the input. The input is here. So this is basically just a variable which is taking information from A to B to C. All right. So you literally just go into here. If we were looking at the API here, paste into there, bing bang bosh, lovely jubbly. Okay. Now it's found that information, and what's happened is if I put in another thing here, I've got an LLM that's basically just going to be taking out the important information, right? As you can see, name, LinkedIn, ID, and domain. All right. So it's going to hit save there. If I jump back on this, CV stripper for jobs, it is exactly the same, right? So this time it's going to input company ID. So if I go onto this and I go onto this, okay, endpoint, headers, param. Okay. Now for this particular one, company job count, I go back to here again, endpoints, and I go right here, job count openings. Then you can see it's here. All you need to do is put it up to the bracket, all right? If you do it, not bracket, the question mark. If you do it after the question mark, it won't work, all right? So if I come back here, well, that's going to be spit out is that company's hiring as a number or not. Next up, we've got a Google search. This is very simple. It's self-explanatory as well, but just to show you, it's got the company name as a variable, it's got the LinkedIn URL as a variable, and domain. So I just hard coded that in there. You can change that if you really want, but there's no reason why you should. And then because I'm really lazy, I've just basically got an LLM just to look at the search and just to output the URL. Nice and simple. All right. Next up, we've got a slightly more complex one, and I'm going to be honest, this is actually one that I use all the time, so it is a lot more complex. What it basically does is it will search for people, and then it will understand if it's if there's lots of hiring managers or if there's one. If there's lots, then it will do a bulk search for email addresses. If there's one, then it will do an individual search. Right? You don't really need to worry about any of that because it should just work pretty much out of the box. But you are going to have to go onto Apollo because you can have a free account. And you are going to have to create an API key, which I will show you in just a jiffy. So again, because I wouldn't say I'm lazy, I'm efficient, I suppose. I've already got all of their API documentation and I have consolidated it into knowledge, which is right here. Okay, and then I just inputted it into relevance. And then I've referred that knowledge to the agent. So then irrespective of what inputs happen here, the agent will be able to create a query to Apollo, which will work 98.9% of the time. All right, so let me just show you very quickly. As you can see, I've got paste API key here. So if I just open up a new tab, type in Apollo, then I log in. You'll have to just sign up for free if you don't have a an account already. Now, what you have to do is you just go to admin, and then you have to go on to admin integrations. Scroll on down, click on this API one here, click connect. And on the left side, we have API keys. So on the left hand side, we've got API keys. And as you can see, I've got test. All you got to do here really is just click the nice big fat yellow button, call it whatever you want, tick every single box here, okay? And then select it as master key, then create API. Then it will look like this. You literally click on that button there, that copy. You then go back to the tool, which is, I've got too many bloody tools here now, it's here, okay? And where I've got Paste API, you just crack it in there, right? That's literally all you do. Well, what's gonna happen now is I'm just gonna go on, here's one I made earlier. It inputs all this information anyway, because I've done it like that, structured it like that. Then it will literally look at all the prospects, and this is what the output would be. So can you see how that could be really beneficial from a time management perspective?
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, I think it's, of course, I think if anyone's recruiting, right, this is a good thing to be using. Candidate short or job short market, I can see the benefits.
Yeah. Well, from a candidate perspective, all you have to just slightly do is adapt it. So you're not necessarily looking for jobs, you're looking for candidates. So if you can connect it to LinkedIn, then you'll be able to map out candidates, which is one of the things I do when we're building out the databases. So that's just a few tweaks in the prompts.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, I think we've probably kept everybody here for that long. If anybody's diehard enough to be on here for this long, then kudos to you. Hopefully you found the first one interesting. What are we going to be talking about on Friday, Kat?
So we have a few topics, but I think the word of the week or the month is CRM. So let's open that door ajar and see.
Are you sure? Because I've done a few posts recently which have been a little bit heated on CRMs.
You'll get different perspectives from us, so
that's true.
One of us, so don't worry.
Also, guys, if you want to have specific things that we talk about, far away. This isn't just us babbling on what it is, but we want to try and make this as value added for you as physically possible, especially if you're investing your time in listening to this. So if there's topics that you want us to talk about or explore, we'll do it. If we don't have a Scooby-Dooby about what you're talking about, we'll also tell you that as well.
I think so. Yeah, I think even basic, when I say basic questions, I feel like I've learned a lot in sort of the past 7-8 months I've been looking at it, but barely scratched the surface. So no one's late to the party in their learning. So even if it feels like a very simple question you'd like addressing, we can definitely do our best to figure it out together.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to your evening, Kat, because it is quite late. And thanks for tuning in, everyone.
See you guys.
Ciao.